All right. Very good afternoon to all of you who have joined, taken the afternoon or morning, depending upon where you're connecting from, to attend this session. So let's get started. Have quite a lot of content to cover. So let's get started. Um, so I'm Logesh Balasubramaniam, and I'm a managing director at SpearMC Consulting. And my predominant area of expertise is PeopleSoft HCM, HR help desk, and everything related to human capital management. I've been consulting with PeopleSoft for over 20 years now, and have been working with various higher ed, healthcare, public sector customers for majority of this period, right? And I would say a major portion of our work is around implementation of new modules and functionalities, new features, frameworks that are released for PeopleSoft customers. And as part of that, in the last couple of years, there has been a significant amount of interest in the time and absence modules, which is the reason behind this particular session to talk about how sort of a well-integrated time absence payroll system can do, and how to go about it, what are some of the things to think about, and so on, right? That's the background behind this particular webinar itself. And before I begin, just a quick note about who we are. SpearMC is an Oracle partner specializing in PeopleSoft and Oracle Cloud pretty much entirely. Our business is focused on PeopleSoft and everything related to PeopleSoft that can be achieved on the cloud and cloud infrastructure as well. Well, that's our core area of business expertise. We are a SOC 2 certified organization and the only Gartner recognized partner for Oracle specializing in PeopleSoft applications. So many of you who are joining today might already have come across us as a go-to partner for PeopleSoft training services. This majority of our first introductions with our customers happen through our training services. In pretty much, in addition to that, when it comes to PeopleSoft, starting with, as I said, about implementing PeopleSoft, parts of PeopleSoft or all of PeopleSoft, and taking it all the way in terms of managing the application, lifecycle processes, upgrades, all aspects of PeopleSoft is our primary focus. And as I said, we work across all industry verticals as well. So here's a quick note before we jump on to the contents of the session today. And some of you might already be aware or familiar with this update, which is a couple of years ago, the Ultimate Kronos Group, which owns the Kronos as a product, announced that a couple of their on-premise solutions were going to be reaching the end of support period, and there were a couple of different deadlines for customers to move to their equivalent cloud offering. The reason for this to be brought up here is this activity sort of triggered a number of inflow in terms of trying to understand what capabilities when it comes to time and attendance that PeopleSoft has, especially from customers who are already using PeopleSoft HCM system and are keen to see if, in spite of going to transitioning to the Kronos cloud system, is there an option for them to make use of their existing investment in PeopleSoft and see if they can leverage those capabilities within the PeopleSoft product itself. Many customers may have reviewed the capabilities available at a much earlier date, but things have changed quite a bit. And one of the reasons for us to come up with this particular webinar as well is that the amount of interest we are still receiving from customers who are looking at the time and labor and absence module as a potential replacement for their existing system. So that's the background information I want to share. When it comes to these specific modules, payroll, time and labor, and absence management is probably the most invested upon, most enhanced and frequently updated modules in the PeopleSoft HCM product line, right? Starting with core HRMS, these three product modules make up to the significant amount of enhancements and updates that are coming through. So every new PUM image that is released on a quarterly basis or every 4 months nowadays, we'll see as a lot of improvements, enhancement, bug fixes related to these modules as well. So continuously being enhanced. So even if you're using these modules, maybe on a slightly older version, things that we're going to discuss today are pretty much up until what is available in the latest version. So that might be an area of interest to you as well if you're currently using the product. Okay. With that, let me get moving. Now, I wanted to quickly check, run a quick poll to see how many of you in the call are already using the product and are interested in knowing more, or how many of you are evaluating the product, right? So I just want to quickly run that. So let me quickly launch a couple of questions. I think you should now on your Windows see that there is a question about whether you're already using time and labor module. And based on the answers I see here, I see that majority are already using it, and probably the counts are getting closer now. That whoever has answered the questions, I think it feels like majority are already using it. All right. So I will end that particular poll and share the results for your information, then stop sharing. Now, one other aspect that we have seen as well is for customers who are using time and labor may or may not be using the absence management module. So we'll want to just quickly run another question as well to see how many of you are using the absence management module. If those who are going to be using are potentially you making use of time and labor absence and payroll already. So I think this is along the expected lines. I see more people answering no rather than yes. So looks like people who are using time and labor, there are not many are using absence management. So that's probably one of the reasons you're here as well to see how those things can work together, right? So that's good to know and sort of aligns with what we would expect as well. So let me end that poll and share that result as well, so that you can all see that information, and stop sharing before I can go back. All right, thank you very much for those information. Good to know how many of you are already using this is not. So with that, let's proceed into the core aspects of the discussion today. Now, when it comes to these three modules, let me actually go through these three areas, right? So the core aspects of our discussion today is time, absence, and payroll. And when it comes to how typically the data flows, not just data flows, but more also the process flow happen between these three modules, is absence is essentially comes first. Typically, when employees enter absences, absence are probably ones that they know in many cases in advance that they need to take some time off, and typically the data flow starts there. And when it comes to absence management as a module, pretty much like most of the modules, the offering within PeopleSoft is that it's a comprehensive module that covers all the three key user bases in the organization, right? When it comes to the HR solution, everything starts with the employees. The managers have a big role to play. So employee self-service, manager self-service, and all the administrative tasks that happen for that particular business function, right? So all these three different groups have more significant comprehensive capability in the system, in the module, to cater for all these three groups of users. So employees we'll see what all they can do, but essentially majority of the activity starts from employee self-service, like submitting absence requests, requesting for absence, and managers come into the play, approving the absences and how it is being processed on the back end. So all the functionality is comprehensively available. Same with the time and labor module, where time reporting, all those activities start with employees, and then managers play a role in terms of approvals and potentially also participating in managing the shifts and so on, and then goes into the administrative side of processing. Same with the payroll side of things as well. Now, for the purpose of this discussion, our focus is going to be on absence and time and labor. And later towards the call, we'll talk about how this flows into payroll and what sort of integrations happen there. Okay. Now, moving to, I want to specifically deep dive into some of these areas. The way I have broken up this webinar is essentially into two parts. We'll first focus on a high-level overview at the module level with a simple list of slides, but I want to spend as much time as possible in the system showing things that are the latest functionalities on how these modules are combined together, right? That's where I want to spend a lot of time, and then we'll come back to the slide deck to wrap it up. That's the process that I want to go through. And quickly, we spoke about the three different user groups: employees, managers, and administrators. When it comes to employees, of course, anything to do with requesting for absences and reviewing their accrued absence balances, how much balance they have accrued, ability to forecast future balances at a different date, ability to cancel requests they have submitted earlier, all those standard absence management functions, employees can do it via self-service. They can donate leave, any absences they have accrued. There are always rules set up around donation. So as per the rules, they can donate leave. There is ability to absence management can support the extended absences functionality like FMLA or state-specific extended absences as well. So all those abilities are available in the module via self-service. One of the recent additions is the ability to change or trade schedules as well. So we'll see some of those things in the system as well. And then when it comes to managers, managers can do all the tasks that employees can do on behalf of either for themselves or on behalf of their team members as well. So managers can, in fact, request absences for one of their team members or view their balances. Pretty much everything that I said as employees can do, managers can do it both for themselves and for their team members on their behalf as well. And then they do play a most significant role in terms of approving or rejecting absences and schedule management. There is a couple of new functionalities around, once again, managing schedules and also ability to have insights or analytics information about the team's availability and the times they are submitting, the absence they are submitting, etc. Managers do have access to various insights and dashboards as well. And then when it comes to administrators, pretty much everything from the processing side of things, all the capabilities to comprehensively manage that is available. And all the enhancements we see from Oracle typically around, let's say, analytics dashboard for this module, work center for this module, things like that, all those latest functionalities and capabilities are available for this absence management module as well. And one very important aspect I want to call out here when it comes to absence management module is it is a module that is licensed as part of North American payroll. So if you are a customer who are currently not using absence management and want to review or implement and use this module, you most likely already have licensed for. Now, when it comes to individual licenses by customer, there might be certain variations. So always good practice to work with your Oracle rep to make sure it's validated. However, for the most part, absence management as a module is licensed as part of North American payroll. So if you are not yet using it, to start using it, this is something you might be already licensed for. Okay, something to be aware of. All right, now moving into the next item, which is the time and labor functionality. Majority of you said you're already using time and labor module, but essentially breaking down in terms of the functionalities available for different user bases. When it comes to employees, of course, it's quite a comprehensive module offering various ways of time data to come in, like collecting time information, using timesheets, web clocks, or time clock devices, that all data can come in. And employees can view their time, submit their time, update their time, manage the exceptions that get generated out of their time, work with overtime requests, and so on. Managers play a very big role when it comes to time approval, reviewing, either reviewing and approving the time reported or payable time, and the ability to manage employee schedules as well. So they play a very active role. And the time administration process, the rules engine behind time administration is one of the most comprehensive functionality that is around, enabling this module to cater for more complex time admin requirements. So we have seen this product and functionality to be used in very complex organizations, be it higher ed, healthcare, the ability for the time admin engine to be able to handle complex time admin rules, right? So all those fall under the administrative capabilities of the module. Okay. Now, as I said, I want to spend as much time as possible in the system, so I wanted to quickly cover some of these highlights before switching on to the system. I'm also keeping track of the time as well, so we'll try to move things a little bit quicker so that we spend a lot of time in the system. Now, we spoke about the data flow from absence to time and labor to payroll. Now, once the data is part of the time and labor system, both time and absence data, it can be part of various other integrations that are delivered. For example, if you're using PeopleSoft Finance application, then the ability for the expense module to make use of the time reporting codes or the feed over the elapsed time from expenses module, those are pre-built integrations that are available. When it comes to project costing module, if you're using project costing, then the ability to sync up all those project-related chart fields for to be used as for task level reporting in time and labor module, that capability, all those integration is available out of the box as well. So more value if you're obviously using more PeopleSoft functionality, whether it's HCM or finance. All right. Now, this is a logical point for me to switch over to the in-system demo, but what I'll do is I'll see if there are any questions. If you have any questions so far, feel free to post the questions and we'll review it at different logical points. I don't see any questions right now, so let me switch over and we'll share my browser to get things going on from the system demo point of view. So, all right, I'm hoping all of you are able to see the browser window that is shared. So let me log in to the browser. So for this demo, I'm going to be using the PERM image 48, no, 49, not the 51, which was released last week. So we are using PERM image 49. I will call out what are some of the changes that have come up in the latest image as well as we go through the process. So the first and foremost thing in here is when an employee goes into their self-service, I'll make this bigger so it's easier to see. And we can see a couple of things here. I can see some notification here. And there has been schedule swap requests that have been submitted as well. So when it comes to schedules, absence, time, wherever we enable approvals, for example, as part of the time and absence process, if there is any approvals or notifications sent out, employees have an easy view of that right in the system when they log in. So that's what we are seeing here. So it looks like some demo data that was done earlier, yesterday, 18 hours ago, is available in here. But everything related to time and absence information is now sort of consolidated into this time dashboard. So when I go into the time dashboard, let me make this a little bit bigger so that we can see all of this information. And I will adjust this. So essentially this time dashboard is where, as I said, time and absence info is all consolidated. And one other thing that you would see differently here, if you are an organization that uses multiple job functionality, if an employee has more than one active employment records as part of the HR system, then this time dashboard is sort of job specific. There would be an option here at the top, just below the search menu over the window over here, where they'll be able to switch this time dashboard between different jobs they have. So this particular example that I'm showing up does not have that option in here because this person has one job. Now, few things I want to call out when it comes to time dashboard is that the first and foremost thing is the entire dashboard is built with a high level of usable information to be made available at the very first glance for the employee, right? So for example, the employee is in a weekly period. I can see that from the period here, 923 to 929. They can easily see how much time they are scheduled versus what they have reported with easily identifiable color coding. So clearly red indicates that there is something pending. So in this case, their reporter is not yet matching with the schedule. So they know that they need to submit some time to finish this week. Time summary provides the top three time reporting codes that are used on the timesheet. In this case, I can see here there is 3 days of regular work and 1 day of sick work that has been submitted. If there are any exceptions for them, just comes up with a big number knowing that they need to take some actions. For organizations who are interested in capturing punch times but do not want to invest in time clock devices, there is an ability to easily enter punch in, punch out using web clock. So here is an example of a web clock. This is showing Pacific time. So let's say I want to punch in and we'll do that, and let's say submit that. Okay, I think in this particular example, this employee is already having a punch that is being selected. So let me do this. I think, wait for that to come back. All right, looks like it has created an exception. Let's see if the exception window pops up. Now we can see there was something wrong with the data that was there. And what happens is that immediately there was a validation that was run, and it pops up an exception that says basically misalignment of punches. So in this case, looks like invalid value for billable indicator. One of the exceptions that that have been set up has popped up, showing that some action is needed from the employee. Okay, now all right, just going back to my update earlier when we talk about in terms of how this information is laid out. So the first set of information is about the time option, the various time-related information shown on the dashboard readily available for the employee. And if the time that the employee has submitted has been processed, then shows up another payable time as well. We can see here that the last time period was previous week, what was the total hours that were submitted, and what is the estimated gross. Now the estimated gross information gets calculated based on their rates and how the time reporting codes are configured as well. So depending upon how sensitive this information or how accurate this information, you can decide to whether to show the gross amount values as part of self-service or not. That's a configurable option that is available. And then the second set of tiles goes into the different absence related tiles. There were multiple like the absence related transactions were split into different items like requesting absence, approving absence, canceling absence, viewing absence. Those all have been consolidated into something called as manage absences. So I will, after I cover the timesheet, I will get into this tile and cover the details of it as well. And we will go through the remainder of absence related self-service capability as well. Okay. Now, let me sort of deep dive into the timesheet itself, which is essentially the most important aspect of the time and labor self-service functionality. Now, in this example, we have enabled as much functionality as possible. So you would see it is a lot of information over here. So what I will do is let me start with a simple walkthrough of the layout in here. So employee can go to any period by basically just navigating through the window over here. If they want to look at previous period, future, etc. But for now, let me go back to the current period. There are views available based on various periods, starting with weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and based on their default period. Again, for this employee, the default period was weekly. So once they get to see, so the basic information they see is based on their default period when they come in, but they get to choose different options. And depending upon how they are set up, they have elapsed or punch timesheet options. Typically, we don't give employees the option to choose. Most likely, an employee will be assigned a particular way of entering time. I just wanted to show these options are available in here. And we did see an accidental, like the punch was entered in an incorrect way. So the in punch that came in is showing up here, and there is an exception that is related to that shows up as well. So system clearly indicates that there's something wrong with this entry. So for now, let me go ahead and just remove that entry so that that's clear. I'll save that information. There is ability to evaluate the time and validate it when the employee tries to save and submit this information real time. or there is ability to do that at a later time using a batch process as well. So it's always better to do it real time so that employees can see things as and when it happens. So in this case, we can see that I have removed it, it has been validated, saved, and so on. Now, all these options that we see here are again, many are configurable to say what needs to be done, what can be done, etc. So let's say I want to simplify this view and just click on show all punch columns. So basically it sort of makes it linear and easy for me to show the number of rows reduced, and it's easy for me to see how things have happened here. So for example, 8 a.m. is the punch in, 12 lunchtime, 1 back in, 3 p.m. second break, and back in at 3:15 and wrap it up at 5 p.m. is sort of how this person's schedule is set up. Once again, to show all different options, typically your schedule is never going to break out all these items. It might be simple in, break, and in and out, right? So this is to give you, show an example of all of the typical various options that are available in here. Now, let's maybe do a couple of things quickly in here whilst I'm doing this. So I could take, let's say, the time details information where more detailed task level reporting happens. So in this case, the employee just have some override code set up for this person. So we'll choose an item. But as I was referring to earlier, when it comes to project costing, ability to capture project information or work order, whatever specific information that needs to be captured along with the time for task level reporting would typically fall under this page over here. And any comments that the employee needs to add or wants to add would be part of the comment section in here. All right. Now, let's close that window. So it's there's a difference in icon. So when a comment is entered versus the comment is blank. Now, a very important aspect for customers who are using absence management, not using absence management and are interested, where the absence management comes into play is, let's say an employee is entering time and as part of their weekly day-to-day task, I can see here that this particular person, let me go back to their period, for example. September 23 to 29 is the current period, which is this week. And I can see here that that time is entered for various days. There is nothing reported for Friday, which is tomorrow. And let's say I want to go ahead and I'm planning to take an absence. From within the timesheet, a person can say, I'm planning to take an absence tomorrow and defaults to the next day. And let's say I want to, it's a planned activity, so I want to do a vacation. And the vacation balance shows up. Is it a partial day or full day? Let's say keep it a full day. If I'm, in this case, the duration is calculated based on my schedule. I'm scheduled to work 8 hours a day. So that's what shows up in here. And if I see that my balance right now is not sufficient, or I'm trying to take a future absence and I want to validate my balance, whether I'm going to have eligibility, I can use the check eligibility option to do that. In this case, I can clearly see it's 8 hours is what I'm trying to take, and the balance is 146. So say a planned time off, or whatever reason we want to put in, and go ahead and submit that request, and that is submitted. I can close that item and come back, and that Friday is now added to the timesheet as an absence entry. Paid vacation was the type of absence type that I chose, and that's entered. Now let's say there is, along with this paid vacation, I did some other task that I want to add as part of the timesheet. I can add more rows as well, right? Now, provided something is set up, for example, if there is a TRC specifically for maybe I took a training or I went to do something else that I want to enter as part of timesheet, I can do that as well. Okay. In this case, this particular person didn't set up with any of such entry, so I'll leave it as a Friday as an absence entry in there. Now, one of the latest functionalities that was made available was around the summary section at the bottom of the page. So customers who have been using PeopleSoft for a long time, who are using classic version, would be aware of this. The same level of summarization is now available in the fluid functionality as well. So let me look at my monthly time, right? So let me view by monthly. And if I scroll to the bottom, now the summary section provides a lot more useful information in here. I can now see since I'm looking at a monthly period, now the columns have been broken up by weeks. And I can see that from week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, from this period onwards, I can see what's the different times that have been used. Regular time, what's my regular time, hours not work, total hours reported, total schedule hour, and schedule deviation. All this summary level information is available in here. And if there is need to review my absences, I think my system has started spinning quite a bit, so it's going to take a few seconds to load. Just give me 1 second. We'll wait for that to come back. And then if there are exceptions related to the timesheet, all such information is available in the summary section. So in absences, let me say, look at my vacation balance. And this is a very important aspect I wanted to cover as part of the integration between, integration between the modules, right? When it comes to ability to submit absence as part of timesheet, like when you are on the timesheet, ability to submit absence and that the absence time getting loaded onto the timesheet as we saw before, ability to view different balances and information related to time booking as part of the timesheet itself. All these different options are available within the single timesheet window as such. And we will go through each of these items outside from the tile as well, but just to bring it up, all this information are now available within the timesheet as well. Okay. Now, timesheet, of course, is the major focus area if you are considering time and labor as a functionality to replace something else that you're already using. So this is how the sort of it is laid out and how employees enter. This example is for a punch time entry. Of course, if you are using majority of your user elapsed time, looks like I messed up something. So let me go out and come back. Let's say if you are using elapsed time, in this case, let me go back. As such, this would be the layout for an elapsed time user. So let me, it's still, we are looking at the current period from 23rd September to 29th September. And essentially we have only a couple of entries that have come through or processed here. So sick and paid vacation that was entered, that is what's showing up in here. Now, if I go back in here, all right. So just a very high level overview in terms of how timesheet functionality looks and how timesheet can bring in information from absence module when you're using the functionality. Now, I want to be mindful of the time as well. This 1 hour, we want to cover quite a lot of things. So the idea for this webinar is to keep it at a highlight, summary level, feature review level. But both of these modules, both time and labor and absence management, are quite vast in terms of functionalities and capabilities. So a more thorough detailed demo in either of these modules would be like, each one would be like a couple of hours long, right? So the idea is, if what you are seeing here is of interest in terms of for you to deep dive into more details, how things work, how it needs to be set up on a more detailed demo, then feel free to reach out. That's the purpose of this demo, is to sort of discuss at a functionality capability level what the system can do when these 3 modules are working together, right? So with that, then I'll move to the next one, which is also a really useful information that is available in here. So once again, we can look for information as how we want to slice and dice this. So what I want to show here is essentially what we would call as a review information, which has come in very useful for customers where we have enabled this functionality as part of time and labor implementation, is a simple read-only view for both employees and managers. Managers also have access to this view of people reporting to them, where they can easily view in a single page either break down by different week or period, see how employee have submitted time, what has been submitted, scheduled versus reported, what TRCs have been used. In this case, I can see a Friday was a vacation that has been booked, and the payable time associated with it. Switch the tab. I can easily see what sort of payable time is used. So for example, on Tuesday, I see that this employee have booked regular hours of 8, sick hours of 8, and a total of 17 hours, including meal. So seeing something is incorrect in here, but a very easy to understand calendar view for employees to see both reported and payable time, not just for employees, both employees and managers. And when they click on any single tile, the detailed information associated with the day is shown at the bottom as well. All right, now moving along, we'll skip a couple of these items. We just saw those things earlier. Another very important aspect is the payable time window. Payable time at a summary level for whatever period we choose. So for example, if we want to look at from the last month basis, so what time was processed. Oops. Looks like there is something messed up in here. Let me see if we can work around that. No, doesn't look like. All right, I'll skip this one. All right, I think I might have messed up something with the entry of the clock in, which was sort of out of sequence. All right. So now let me change track to move to more of absence functionalities. And one of the cool things that came out when it, I would probably say towards the end of last year, so around a few images back, is the manage absence functionality, which is sort of the consolidated view of everything related to absences, right, from an employee's point of view. And what we can see here is the top 3 or the most recent 3 absences submitted by the employee at the top. And they can see what's the dates, duration, and the status of it. And if they want to take any actions, there are these dots that they can click and say, I want to, the sick leave that they submitted early in the week is not incorrect, or a vacation they have submitted for tomorrow is not valid and they want to go ahead and cancel it. They can do it from this window over here. So we remember this is an item we just submitted from the timesheet. So basically, let's say we're planning to do some activity. I was on the timesheet. I submitted this, and this is something now has changed. I can go ahead and I can cancel it from any place, from my timesheet, from here, etc. So that would get updated once once we refresh the screen. Now, as I said, the last 3 are shown in here. If we want to see all the requests, there is ability to go back and see what all is submitted in here. And we can see that now the vacation shows as canceled for 9/27. So we can go back. And the layout of the absence request itself has been simplified. Earlier, we saw from within the timesheet what we were looking at. Now, let's say I want to plan for a longer period, like I have a longer holiday to take, and let's say I'm going to be on vacation, and I can see that I've selected 4 days, that's 32 hours, and let's say I want to do partial days and all days. I want today all days or half a day's option. I will leave at that and say it's going to split my all days into 4 hours each. So 16 hours is the planned time off. So there is the ability to do attachments, comments, all those are optional functionalities. And the employee has submitted that leave. So that's the vacation now added for the 16 hours period. Now, on the right-hand side window, there are a couple of related information sections in here. Now, again, this whole section is configurable, so if there is anything else that needs to be added as well, that can be created as a pagelet and added in here. So we can see the holiday calendar that is also date-driven, meaning it shows the holidays for the remainder of the year. So we are in September and showing up the holidays set up for the remainder of the year, and all the leave balances that are set up for accrual and tracking in absence management. As I said, in this case, there is ability to do extended absences like FMLA, and then various other absence balances that are configured in the system as well is shown up here. So I will want to quickly go back and spend a little bit more time on absences, right? So if I go into the time functionality, and actually let me go in here. I'm just waiting for that balance section to refresh, and if I bring that up, I wanted to basically review a quick information on that, which is one of the enhancements that was released recently in terms of how the balance information is um, laid out in an easily understandable way, an intuitive way for employees to review how their accrual history, right? So for example, this employee has a vacation balance of 146 hours. Looks like that's where we have some issues. So I'll skip that one. But the ability to view that vacation hours broken down by how it has been accrued. So when I go back to the slide deck, I'll show you this information as well. It's in the appendix section, so I'll bring up and show that information. That was one of the recent information that was released as part of one of the latest images as well. So I'll walk through that aspect. And now, as we get into the last 15 minutes, I want to quickly cover a couple more recent updates before switching over to the a slide deck to go through the last portion of it, is the extended absence functionality and the leave donation schedule change. Leave donation schedule change are relatively recent when it comes to self-service capability. So let's first start with the extended absence request. Now, the extended absence request is essentially a configurable framework that has been made available using both the activity guide functionality and the ability to do more well-rounded, what you call as validation. So we'll quickly show you how an extended absence request would look like. Let's say in this case, I want to use FMLA military caregiver as the option and launch that. So employees are provided with a simple to follow, a guided process to go through this and submit this request, right? So for example, when does it start? Let's say this is a planned activity, so I want to start a little later. And when am I expected to come back? Let's say I want to take 2 weeks off and don't know the actual return date at this time. And let's say care for an injured person is the option, so save that. And that's where we can see that the current balance is 0. But this validation framework is the core part of the extended absence functionality. So what it means is that rules can be set up in the system and their eligibility, employees' eligibility for any extended absences can be configured based on various rules. In this case, for example, FMLA eligibility, we can see here the employee, various rules are already set up based on the standard functionality. Has the employee been working here for 12 months? Has the employee worked 1250 hours in the last 12 months? Or the employee is 50 is the organization itself meets these criteria, right? So all these options are in here. So for example, let's say if the employee clicks validate and it goes through the validation and looks like there is no entitlement data for this particular entry. So if we come down, actually, let me go back and show the one which has entitlement. So that's the first one, FMLA medical. And I will show this one where there are rules that can validate and provide that information. So we can, if I do validate in here. So basically, this says the employee's request is not eligible because they haven't met the criteria. Employee has worked less than 1250 hours. So we scroll down here, it clearly says the employee has been employed more than 60 months, which meets the criteria, and because the criteria is 12 months, but the work hours for this year is less than 1046 hours, and the expectation is 1250. So this criteria is not met, so technically they are not eligible for submitting this request. However, the system does not stop them from submitting it. They can add additional information in here and go ahead and submit the request as well. So the crux of this capability of this extended absence functionality comes from the more granular level. All these validations can be set up, eligibility validations, based on the system data, and the system can automatically do that validation and provide eligibility information to the employee. Okay, and it has a workflow approval associated with it. So when I go ahead and say I want to, this is all the information, I can see what was my eligibility and things like that. I review all of that and submit it, and goes through typically an FMLA administrator or an absence administrator for approval process. So triggers a workflow approval that would go through and initiate that process. So once again, a pretty vast area of work, just showing you what is from a user experience, employee experience side of things, how this would look like. So let me go back and quickly cover the two more items before we go back to the presentation, which is leave donation and schedule change. Leave donation as well. The enhancements in the recent images has been more focused on the self-service side, ability to donate leave, ability to receive leave donation. So different kinds of absences can be set up for ability to donate, and we can choose where should be the donation, whether it's individual employees or different leave buckets that needs to be sort of receiving this, right? So in this case, let's say individual emergency, and as an option, what's the leave program they want to, what are the different available options that they can donate from. In this case, sick is the only option, and I don't remember this person having a sick balance, so I don't think there's much they can donate. But eligibilities can be set up, maximum ranges can be set up, who they can donate to can be set up. All those options are available. They can pick and choose different employees they want to donate to, or a bank they want to donate to. All those options are available. Once again, has an approval process associated with it, and once they submit, if it's sent to a person, then that person have the ability to receive and accept that donation as well. So if I go back in here, when we came in, that's one of the information we saw, receive leave donation. If anybody has sent this person absence donation or leave donation, they will be able to view and have that ability to accept or reject it as well. Now, quickly, we'll want to cover the schedule-related functionalities, ability to do two tasks from employee side of things. So they can give up the shift that they were planning to work so that the manager can reassign the shift to somebody else, or trade the shift with another coworker. Once again, it's going to be like a transaction where one employee requests it, another employee can accept it, and if they both agree, then the shift gets switched, right? So for example, let's look at this one. Let's say I want to look at my shift for next week, which is, let's say, on the 3rd. Else I actually have an absence on that day, right? So let me go for 8th. And look at my options here. How would you like to view a replacement? Display only employee with no conflicts, or view all. Let me say I only want to look at employees without conflict, and it gives me various options, right? Whether it's an ideal match, or how much percentage of fit it is, what is their job title. So I can see here I'm a billing specialist, and let's say there's my colleague in my team, my peer, a billing specialist, and it says my ideal match. And I can look at, say, what their schedule looks like, and it lays out how their schedule is. And let's say this is a person, and this person's schedule aligns with me, or something that I want to switch for. Then I can go ahead and submit that request. And as I mentioned before, if the other person is ready to switch, then they can accept this request and sort of complete this trade-off shift. So as we can see here, more and more capabilities getting added for various functionality, be it extended absence request, be it schedule change, leave donation, more and more drive towards self-service, manager self-service functionality across both these modules as well. All right. I know we are into the last 10 minutes, so let me quickly switch my view to the slide there. All right. Now, when it comes to the time and labor to payroll process flow, given we are in the last few minutes of the presentation, I will quickly walk through this process, right? And it is very important to understand one of the key areas of research and alignment that needs to happen as part of implementation process, whether you are going to implement both time and labor and absence management from scratch, or you are using time and labor and want to do absences, or you are currently using both modules and want to do it in a better way. All these scenarios would play into reviewing how this needs to be done, right? For example, alignment with your pay period, what period you're processing. The absence period needs to be as much as aligned as possible with your pay period, right? That's a fundamental aspect of it. And the process typically, how does the data flow happens between these modules, how to close out these cycles, absence cycle versus time period versus payroll, right? What sequence of things need to happen? That's always an area that we work very closely with payroll counterparts and administrative users to make sure there is a smooth transition of information and activities between these three modules, right? So it starts with the ability to do the timesheet lockdown. So there is ability to do lock timesheets beyond a certain point. So administrators can enable that so that you can maintain a very strict cutover to say until when employees can submit time. And you can enable the lockdown so that no further time entries can come in. Run the time admin process one last time for the entire population. Then that would sort of finalize the payable time that gets generated for the time entries that have come in. Run the leave donation process. If you're using leave donation, there is a separate set of process to run the leave donations to sort of manage the accrual buckets. And then calculate absence pay cycle. Now, those of you already using it might be aware, the absence management processing uses the global payroll framework, and the processing of absences is very similar to how the typical North American pay cycle will be processed. We create the pay period, open up the period, calculations can happen multiple times. Once we are done with the final calculation, we finalize and move forward. That sort of cycle iterative process is how the absence is done as well. So the end of the period, run and finalize the absences, review any exceptions if nothing needs to be addressed, then do the final round of calculations and finalize the absence calc process. Only when absence calc is finalized, the employees' accruals get updated for that period based on what was their starting balance, what was their accruals in this period, minus what they took, gets finalized as the balance for the end of the current period. And that balance is available via self-service for employees to view now. Once they do that, that process automatically kicks off the time and labor functionality to basically process absence time along with the worked time. And once that does, that information is all ready to flow onto the payroll module. Typically, it starts with creating the pay sheets, loading the data from time and labor, which now includes the data from the absence as well, and then going with the calc process, which is an iterative process to do the calc. Once the data is sent to payroll or taken by payroll, then release the timesheet lockdown so that employees can now submit time, managers can approve time, and so forth, right? So this would be sort of the sequential process flow that happens from absence all the way to time and payroll, okay? Now, this is from a process level when it comes to how to align all of this and agree and sort of work out a schedule to get all of this done within the payroll processing window, right? Every customer has. That's typically where the more detailed work and efficiencies need to be brought in, right? So that's the reason to talk about this in here. Now, I want to use this time, just another couple of minutes, to quickly capture a couple of other questions as well. So what I wanted to do is, first question is a little simple one. For the organizations that are here attending today, what is your common pay frequency? Do you majority do bi-weekly payrolls, or you do various other combinations, right? So just wanted to check how many are using different kinds of payroll. I see majority as expected are bi-weekly at this stage. So thank you very much. So let me end that poll. So share that result. And then if I go back, I also want to check, this is more of a detailed question. What is your payroll processing method, right? What I mean by that is you are either paying employees when you're processing this pay cycle for this pay period, you're paying the employees for the current period before or on the day the period ends, meaning employees have to forecast some time. So if I'm doing weekly, if I'm submitting my time today, I might have to know, sort of forecast my time for tomorrow. Or if I'm in September, now I'm processing my payroll, I have to forecast my time until end of the month, or paying in arrears, right? Whether you're paying for period that you already closed, all the time have come in, and you're paying that in arrears. So I see that sort of again, once again expected as well. Majority are paying in arrears rather than paying current. So that's good to know as well. Thank you very much. We'll share the results and stop sharing so we can go back. All right, now let me go back. I think that sort of covers all the information I had. That's the poll we just did. And all the three modules comes delivered with elaborate analytics dashboards using, depending upon your tools version, either Kibana dashboards or OpenSearch dashboards, right? So that's the underlying technology, but essentially the ability to slice and dice your time information, your absence information, and your payroll information. All three modules have its own dashboards. And the dashboards are sort of broken down into two things. Administrative dashboards that are more day-to-day tasks, how the admins can see where they are in the process, how many needs to be resolved and finalized and things like that. And more strategic dashboards, meaning how the things are trending over a period of time, like the payable time trend and the payroll processing trends or payroll cost trends, all those different strategic dashboards as well. So there's the two section of dashboards available for all the three modules for you to review as well. I think that pretty much covers all the items I have time today. Appreciate your attendance and look forward to presenting at a different topic at a different time. Thank you very much, all of you. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jisham. Bye-bye.